Today is still Wednesday, September 4th, and the last part of speech that we talked about today were conjunctions. And conjunctions, we looked at a little word inside of there, junction, and we talked about a train junction. We talked about the square kind of being a junction of two different highways, and decided that a junction is a place where two things meet. And that is pretty similar to what a conjunction is in a sentence. It's a word that joins two words, phrases, or sentences together. And that kind of makes sense when you think of a junction joining two roads together. A conjunction is going to join two sentences together. And so we looked at if we wanted to combine two people's names together, we could use the word and, but, or, nor, yet, or so. And there are many, many more. But for right now, these are the ones that I think students use the most, that we're going to focus on for the start of the year. And we call these coordinating conjunctions. And coordinating, I was thinking of how you're coordinating your outfit, putting two things together that go well together, that make sense together. And that makes sense because when we combine things together in a sentence, if we're combining two words together, they have to be similar. Two names that we're joining together, two phrases, two prepositional phrases, or two describing phrases together. If we're going to join two sentences together with a conjunction, then the two sentences have to be kind of related. So they coordinate, they go together. Another kind of conjunction we'll talk about later in the year is subordinating. And one of the conjunctions we talked about was because, and it sounds like students had some background knowledge already with that, so that's very, very good. But it's going to be used, subordinating conjunctions are used very differently from these conjunctions, and so we don't talk about those until we're about halfway through the school year and we're really familiar with and confident of how we can use these correctly before we introduce the others. Excuse me. And then in talking about conjunctions, we get into some other terminology of dependent and independent clauses. And I think these are terms, definitely independent clauses, that students have learned before 7th grade, but again, we'll talk a lot more about them this year. We didn't really have a hint for these, but I had a rule for students, and that is that we do not start sentences with these conjunctions. We do not start a sentence with and, but, or no, nor, or so. It's not allowed in 7th grade. And yes, students are going to be able to bring their books up to me that they're reading and say, my author starts a sentence with and, so why can't I? And I explain to them that, number one, authors make a lot more money than we do, and they've earned the right to be allowed to do that. In 7th grade, we're still learning the proper rules of grammar and usage, so until we can know the rule and can use the rule correctly, we are not allowed to break the rule. And so if students are using these words and starting sentences with and, but, or, what they'll see me do is put an X over it and write fragment next to them. Because according to our definition, a conjunction is allowed to join two sentences together, but it's not allowed to begin a sentence, because that's not its job. Okay? And so those are conjunctions.